Welcome to Eastcounty Pathways. In Eastcounty Pathways, we bring from week to week guests who are passing through, people from our community who are doing special things, and then people from our whole city. And today I'm very happy to have a friend, Harold Kurtz. And I could say a lot of things about Harold, and I could interview him about a lot of things. We're not going to get personal here, but Harold, first of all, is a Presbyterian minister, as I am. We're co-pastors in churches. He's also for many years been a missionary in Ethiopia, and if I wanted to have a program, and we were just talking about having one sometime on hunger in Africa, and particularly in Eritrea and in Ethiopia, he would be a specialist. He's also the executive director of the Presbyterian Frontier Fellowship, which is a worldwide mission to people who have never heard the good news of the gospel. But today I'm going to interview him on something entirely different. It's on POP. Now POP is Portland Organizing Project. And Harold, what in the world is Portland Organizing Project? What a name.
Well, yep, it's, well, it's kind of generic, but what it is a group of churches. We are now 14 of us and expect to add one more, another Presbyterian church, within the next week. Churches of several denominations who are getting together to do something to revitalize our own inner life, but also to revitalize our community. And we have a commitment to reclaim our communities in North, Northeast, and Southeast Portland. And we feel that as churches, as Christians, we have a responsibility to be actively involved in that process.
Now when you say you're going to reclaim our community, what are you going to reclaim it from and to?
Well, we're going to reclaim it from the drug traffickers, from crime, from violence, from prostitution. We're going to reclaim our communities because in North, Northeast, Southeast, we are in a bad way so far as what's going on in our area. Because we have within our congregations hundreds of people who live in fear 24 hours a day, fear of crime.
Well, you must have the mayor and the city council and the police department singing the Hallelujah chorus. At least last citizens are waking up and they're going to help us. Come on in.
Well, the reviews are mixed, because in one way they are very happy, and it's about time. One of the things that we say and have said to them is that we don't believe that we can just throw money at our communities and reclaim them that way, that we have to be involved as citizens. And they're very happy to hear that news. We also say as churches that we have a responsibility to bring that gospel message to bear on the life of our communities. Chuck Colson, whom you know from Watergate days, recent quote of his, which he said, God may be alive and well in the pew, but he's dead in the streets. And it's our intention to put God in the streets. And, but one of the things, though, that becomes sometimes of a threat to them because we're asking for accountability.
Mm-hmm. And what do you mean by accountability, Harold?
Well, we're asking them to tell us what they're doing and why, to tell us why, to work with us in trying to determine why crime has gotten out of hand in Portland, because it certainly has. And we are saying that we think we have some suggestions to make on how we can reclaim our communities and our cities. And sometimes when you get into the institutions, once you start asking for accountability, there can be some reactions to that process.
Mm-hmm. Now, before we go into the problems and some of the other things, I think the thing that has made you newsworthy recently is your march on Good Friday. Just recently I was in Palestine and I walked the 14 stations of the cross, and I understand you set up 14 stations of the cross in North Portland, and you stopped and prayed at each one, and you had Catholics and Protestants together. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yes, that's something that we started last year. And we decided that when you look at Good Friday, that wasn't carried on inside of a nice, sterile, beautiful church with choirs and all of it. And of course, those worship experiences are nice for us, so we didn't want to put them down in a sense, but we realized that the real events of Good Friday took place on the streets. And that it's the streets in Portland that we're concerned about. So last week, as we got together, we decided we would like to walk the streets of Portland as churches, carry the cross on that street, and then stop in specific places that represented a specific aspect of crime and the victims of crime. And so that's what we did. We had over 200 people last year in a pouring rain. But many said it was one of the most deeply moving experiences of their lives as we carried the cross, passed it from church to church, who then stopped at a specific place where we prayed for a specific kind of crime. We read from the scripture passages what Christ was going through in that time, and we reflected upon what is happening in Portland today. This year, in a beautiful day in Portland, we did the same thing. The cross moved from Interstate Avenue, which has been in our papers concerning prostitution and the motels there. We moved up Interstate and then across Interstate and across the freeway as a sign that we were joining hands across the city. Because no one's going to divide us. We are one in that. We've all got to do battle with crime in our city. And so we crossed the freeway to Union Avenue and then walked down Union Avenue, stopping there with the cross, proclaiming the fact that there's good news for Portland.
Well, now most of the 14 stations of the cross as delineated by the Roman Catholic Church in Jerusalem are places where actually crimes were committed against the Christ. One place where he was unjustly judged, another place where he was beaten, another place where he fell under his cross, and all of these. What kind of stations of the cross did you have?
We tried to tie that very march and those scripture passages together with what's going on in Portland. And so, do you remember the time when Jesus stopped and said to the women, you know, the times are going to come when you will be despised in the sense for having borne children? We stopped at a place where there had been where there was prostitution, crime against women. And so we prayed for both the victims of prostitution and the prostitutes themselves. We stopped at another place where a man had been killed in North Portland, was murdered, as he was helping someone else who was being caught by crime, and in that Good Samaritan time, he himself was killed. The place where it talks about the trials of Jesus and the going before the judges, we stopped and prayed for our police officers, our judges, for those who are in that process. So we tried very much to identify Portland's crimes with the scripture, and of course they go right along.
As I remember, one of your stations of the cross in 1987 was radically changed in 1988.
Yes, that's where we ended this year, because we stopped and prayed for children and women in particular being caught by the pornographic trade. And last year we began our march by standing right beside a place where X-rated movies were being shown. And we prayed at that point for that kind of crime in our city. In the meantime, that place has been converted into a black church. And so this year we ended our procession in that church with the black congregation welcoming us there. And it was kind of like the resurrection, the good news, what can happen when we get together and pray together. And so in that church building, we gave thanks for the fact that it had been converted and was the sign of hope for us all, that if we are together, if we join together with our people power, we can make a difference in our city.
That's great. It's a miracle, isn't it?
It really is a miracle. And if you could have heard us sing there and heard them welcoming us as they talked about it, it was really a sign of the resurrection at that point.
Well, we certainly know that crime in our city is very bad. In fact, we're rated right near the top as far as murder and other major crimes are concerned. from what I gather by way of the grapevine, the drug situation probably is as bad here as in the top 10 cities in the nation, and we have a lot of other things going.
And some of the statistics, they rate Portland third in the nation. It's hard for us to believe that, because we have gloried in this city of roses, and to suddenly realize that our image nationwide has become the image of a city of crime.
One of the strange things is I think we probably have as good a form of government. We don't have very much corruption in government as far as I can see, and both on our county, our city, our state level, things look pretty clean to me, and yet crime has somehow or other been able to creep in, and we've sort of lost control of it, the way it looks to me.
Yeah,
is there a reason for that?
Yes, partly because of our kind of casualness to what is going on. We like to say to people, this is a place you can come and live well. We don't have a lot of controls. But the drug traffickers and the mobs, the gangs, for instance, who were being put under pressure in California because they had to deal with them early on, who in some ways moved into Washington and up around the Seattle area, and then pressure was put onto them, suddenly realized that Oregon was open. We didn't have many laws. And so they have come here. The gangs in Portland, which are now becoming a problem, we know from what we have heard are connected to the Los Angeles gangs. They have come here because they have found a wide open place. Suddenly, can you believe it, the coast of Oregon has become a place where ships can come in and unload drugs very free, because we have been that open kind of society. And we have become a place where drugs come in and then go north and south to be distributed by the agents in those places.
Now, as I understand it, the Portland Organizing Project has a rather unique and specific thing you're asking the police department to do in particular, and that is a particular kind of policing. And I'd like you to talk about that a little bit.
I think maybe, first of all, to set the stage, one of the things that we did in terms of drugs, which we realized, they say, the police say that about 80% of the crimes, at least 80%, are tied to drugs. And so we recognize that as being a crucial thing. And Mayor Clark, together with the neighborhood associations, decided that we needed what we call the drug house ordinance, and we got behind them in our very beginning and were one of the factors in getting that pushed in Portland. Then you get the problem of how that is enforced. And so we're recommending that they think about what we call problem-oriented policing, in which problems are identified, and then teams of police are given specific responsibilities to begin to deal with that particular problem. And we believe that this will make a more effective policing program and will enable us to get a hold on this. And it has been used in other cities. It's not something we have dreamed up, but it has been used effectively with cities under the same kind of crisis that we're in Portland.
Now, would these police get special training and have special assignments?
They would have special assignments. They wouldn't be on call like most of the police are. They would specifically deal with this. They'd have a chance to specialize, a chance to follow up on leads, to do a program that might eventually draw in other police. But they would be spearheading, say, drugs, gangs, a particular area community, in the area where the police now have almost given up, where they would zero in on that to reclaim it and draw up a program where the rest of the police could come in and help us to reclaim, say, a specific area in our city. So it'd be problem-oriented policing. So you identify a problem, and then you assign some police to do that kind of work.
Now, I happen to be, as you know, involved in your area in Habitat for Humanity, and we're about to buy an apartment, and someone said, well, you should know when you buy that there's a drug house right behind it. Now, people seem to be able to identify where these are.
Well, our people know where they are.
And why can't we close them up when we know where they are?
That's one of the things we're working. That's what this drug house ordinance is helping the police to do. It is an extensive process, and it needs this very specific kinds of work. And that's one of the reasons we need to do that. See, they say there are over 1,000 drug houses in Portland that the police know about and the community knows about.
And yet they haven't been closed.
No, because we haven't been effective enough in closing them.
I noticed in the mayor's and the city council's recent budget, they have increased the police budget to add, I think, 20 policemen, at least fill 20 positions. Do you think this is in part because of the pressure being put on now?
Yes, we feel that we, along with other community-based organizations and businesses, and really everyone recognizes the problem. So there are 22 positions they hope to fill. But we say, one of the things we're saying is just to say add 22 police is not adequate. Let's also examine how do we get to the root causes of crime. Not just react to crime, but have a proactive stance, have a problem-oriented stance, so that you begin to deal at the roots of crime within our city.
Proactive seems to say to me, you get there before it happens almost. Is that what you're sort of talking about?
Yes, and in the beginning we talked about proactive, but that can mean different things to different people. So that's why we have kind of changed the name which is used in other cities and other places to problem-oriented, because that has a tendency to spell out the fact that there are problems having to do with crime, and you zero in on those.
Yeah, as I understand, it's not the easiest thing to break through to the mayor and to break through to the chief of police in Portland. They have some interests, but also they have some feelings that maybe you're a little radical in some of this.
Yes. We have been accused of being too confrontational.
Oh.
And they were wanting to shut us out because we were asking, for instance, we were asking for timelines. We were saying, okay, this is the problem now. When can we check back with you? And they didn't like that. That's that accountability. And you know that when you get within a place of power, for someone to ask for an accounting isn't always all that acceptable. And so they've tried to lock us out in a sense. Both the police did and the mayor. And so we had to put on some additional pressure. And you know,
some of us sent in some letters.
We've sent letters down. We have businesses that wrote letters and said, you know, you just can't, this is a freedom of speech issue. You just cannot cast citizens out. This is a democracy. It's not a police state. And you have a responsibility to listen. So now those have opened up. Just a week from today, we will have a meeting with Chief Walker. And we're very grateful for that. This morning I was meeting with the leadership team, and we're planning for that meeting because we try to do our homework. We don't go into those empty-headed without plans and programs. We think we need to do our part in planning these things and knowing what's going on. We do our homework. And then in the first part of May, the mayor is going to meet with us also. So things have broken open, and we're very grateful for this kind of progress that is coming about.
How do you see things insofar as conditions are concerned with reference to crime? Are we holding our own? Are we getting worse? Or are we, as we begin to focus on it, making some improvements? Where are we in this?
Well, Art, there was a feeling kind of at the end of the year in the statistics, they were just the shade better. That maybe we were making some progress. Unfortunately, yesterday over the radio, I heard that the first quarter crime report was worse again. So we simply cannot back off the issue.
Now, who are the criminals? Are they young? Are they old? Are they male? Are they female? Are they ethnic groups? Or who are the criminals?
They go across the races. There's no group that can be identified. The gangs, for instance, you have one group that is rooted in the black. You have another that's rooted in the white. So you have them coming out of all of those.
The ones we hear most are the Asian gangs. Is this?
That's not so much in Portland, although we are concerned about that. But the ones who have come in are the skinheads and the Bloods, who first kind of appeared in Portland. And in North Portland, we have on some of our buildings there the graffiti with the Bloods written in red across there. So we know they're active in our areas. They have been identified. And that's one of our deep concerns. And as you know, the school district is concerned about that in Portland because there has been some incidences.
Now, are these high school age, or are they older or younger?
The leadership tends to be post-high school. But what they try to do then is to pick up within the high schools, and this is where the school system was worried, to pick up some of their members so that they have a way of feeding in to that area of society, say the drugs that they operate, also contacts with that part. So they try to recruit, see, from different areas in order to get their work done.
Is it true that, say, some of the hardcore drug importers and those who are at the very core tend to be more of the older 25 to 40 group in there, and then they bring the young people in as their henchmen, more or less?
You can see that because you have to work your way up in the world of crime just like you do in the world of business. So those who are calling the shots are the older people in that, who then bring the younger ones on board. And in that older group, we know, the police knows it, you can find that out from them, that a number of those people are out of LA or have come down from Seattle. They have traced the origins of a lot of that.
Is there any indication that syndicated crime is involved?
Yes. There's always that tie. We know that there are ties into all of these areas of crime.
Well, as you begin to work on things in your own area, first of all, how do you recruit the people who work with you? How do you recruit your team?
Well, Art, that's where we feel we have an advantage over, say, the neighborhood associations, which are operating in Portland and come out of the city council, and they're tied in with the city government. They kind of have to develop their community. But churches have a ready-made community. They're already there, and that's a part of the people power that we have that is available to us. And one of the things that the church needs to recognize, it can contribute to our community, to our city, is a ready-made community that is committed. And so out of our congregations, we recruit people. We are middle to low income congregations. Many of our people have not had the opportunity for leadership training. So a part of what we do in the Portland Organizing Project is to train leaders. And we train our people, we help them in public speaking, in learning how to, in a sense, do battle with the establishment, to express themselves, to be critical in the way they listen and in the way they speak. So we are also enabling our own people to develop their potential for the sake of the future of the congregations themselves as well as the community in which they live.
One of the things I've noted about North and Northeast Portland is the beautiful ecumenical spirit that's there, where you see Roman Catholics and Protestants, and you have some very conservative black churches and some very conservative white churches. You have middle-of-the-road churches, and not so many radically churches the other way, but they all seem to work together and blend together, and interracially there's a good mix, and everybody seems to love everybody. Is that somewhat your feeling?
Yes. In fact, Art, I talked about the mix. Until we got started with this, I felt isolated as a Presbyterian over what I had been on the mission field overseas, where that kind of atmosphere is very natural. And now suddenly it is a part of our life once again, because the Roman Catholic churches We have good rapport. We have Lutherans. We have United Church of Christ. We have our Presbyterians. We have Episcopalian. And it's just a great thing. Of course, part of it is we realize that we are called as one to bring good news to our communities. And a part of that good news is to bring justice to our streets, to bring hope, to bring peace, to bring once again an atmosphere where fear doesn't dominate. Because we listen to our people. That's the first thing we do. And the thing that we found out, Art, that many of our older people in particular were living with almost constant fear 24 hours a day. Their whole future had been taken away from them. Many of them worked all their lives to buy a home. And now that they're retired, when they should be able to enjoy their community, their life, their retirement, they're afraid. They're looking out over their shoulder because they have been broken into. Many of them have been mugged. And they're living in fear. And we want to help them to reclaim that community again.
In 30 seconds, Harold, what do you feel is the most satisfying accomplishment that you've seen the organization fulfill?
Well, I think, Art, maybe it's that. We have given some of those older people hope again. When we have gone down to City Hall and we said, who would be willing to go? The older people who are retired say, we'll go. When we need letters to be written, oh, we'll write letters. We can do that. We said, well, we need phone calls because they're not listening. Oh, we'll make phone calls. To see hope in their eyes again is a rewarding thing, Art.
Our guest today has been Harold Kurtz. He is head of the, I got to look at, Portland Organizing Project, which is trying to do some things to alleviate the pain of crime in our city. Stay with us on Eastcounty Pathways as we bring interesting people from week to week for your hearing and for the betterment of our community. Good job, Harold.